It has been 4 weeks of Uplift.
Holy cow.
Thank you so much for being with us. Thanks for watching and listening, or both, or if this is your first time watching and listening, you have no idea. But we're still inspired by you. Thank you for being with us. Honestly, Uplift was inspired by you. And so we're so grateful that you've been with us.
Yeah. And honestly, we needed a little uplift, right?
We needed a lot.
We needed a lot of uplift. Let's be honest. We were like, And it has been so wonderful. We would never have watched Becoming and read Untamed and had all of this time to really focus and reflect and think forward and imagine and dream. All kinds of prompts that we gave to you, we of course needed just as much. And we wouldn't have done it without you. And so we're so grateful to have had you with us these last weeks, but we are not done yet.
We're not done. That's why you're here.
Stay with us.
Yes. So of course we want to just share another quote from the fabulous, inspiring, amazing, insanely beautiful Michelle Obama, because we just can't help it. So here we go. For me, becoming isn't about arriving somewhere or achieving a certain aim. I see it instead as forward motion, a means of evolving, a way to reach continuously toward a better self. The journey doesn't end. Oh,
amen,
I know.
Sister.
It's so true, right? The journey isn't ending. We're not ending.
I
hope not. We really want to take this last week with you to give you some more time to think about all of the things that we've talked about, who you really are, what you really want, what you've learned from this situation, how you will grow, and where you're going next, because the journey isn't over and we're going to keep on keeping on. So our very first question about this entirely bizarre moment that we're in is, how have you learned? Grown? What have you learned? What have you learned? Yes.
Whatever, it's the same thing.
You know what I mean. How have you learned and grown?
What is the learning? Where is the growing?
Learning, question mark? We'll just Yoda it. We're gonna learned, have you?
Learn to have.
Oh, what have you learned? That is the question. And I have been thinking about this, of course, because you've been inspiring me to think about this. And I have to say, oh, I lost my paper. Hold on. It gives me an excuse to look at it anyway. Okay. Oh, I learned some things. So the first thing, and maybe the thing that I hope sticks with me the most, is that fear is a terrible motivator, but it is a motivator.
It is effective.
It does motivate one to do
better than
things.
Nothing.
Yes. Yeah. But I have recognized that in the beginning of this crazy situation, and we've shared this before, but obviously our whole business, which is still pretty much a baby business, was about in-person workshops that we were doing. And so when we realized that that was no longer happening, we had to pivot really quickly. And so much of what we did in March and April was all fear-based. It was all reaction and all survival, which is what all of us were doing, right? Not just about business, but about our family and about our job and about our financial situation. Like everything we were doing was reactive. And so for us, it did motivate us to actually change and grow and adapt into something that we had honestly wanted to do from the very beginning. Right. We didn't want to travel as much as we had to, but we were willing to do it because it was working. Now we are doing so much more of what we had intended to do. And
we're making a much bigger difference
Totally.
for more people.
Yes.
Which had always
Yes.
been our goal, because we're able to work with hundreds of people at the same time, which we could never do when we had to go someplace to be with each small group, which we totally loved and do
Yes.
look forward to doing again.
And we'll do for Uplift again.
Yes, but
for sure.
It has been. It's been massive, not just silver lining, but like sparkling, bedazzled, lining.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the other thing that I have learned too is that we can do insanely hard things, and not just like we, but the collective we, like you and all of the women.
All you moms out there.
Oh my God.
Dang.
You are.
We just.
Yeah. I mean, you are freaking phenomenal. You have done the hardest things, right? You have raised and schooled and housed and fed and clothed humans during one of the scariest times ever.
Yeah. And kept them held
Yep.
and safe and not scared, which is also a gigantic gift, because it has been crazy, right?
Yeah.
And not just the COVID, but now the, protests across the country and in fact the world, which again, I think are going to have incredible outcomes. And actually, I think more change is happening in this last 12 weeks than I have seen happen in maybe my lifetime. It's pretty remarkable. But dang, that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's a lot. It's a lot at once, and it is scary.
Yeah. And the other thing is, part of that learning is just like fear is a motivator, a terrible motivator, but it is a motivator, is that we can do hard things, but we also, we need a break. We deserve a break, right? And
we
so
deserve a break today.
Yes.
McDonald's sounds so good.
I thought you were going to go for the Kit Kat, but no, you went straight for the McDonald's.
Continue.
That is awesome. That this whole moment, right? What we are wanting to do, what you've been a part of, is about taking the much needed break. It's about reflection and time to refresh and space to actually think about who you are and what you want. And we deserve this in every life situation. Of course, right now, but you have got to make time for it, because you completely deserve it. If you're going to do hard things, which you do every freaking day, you've got to give yourself the space to be all the way you, and to take it all in, right? So those are my what have I learned?
I like
How
your
have I
learnings.
learned?
I like your learnings. I was just on, I love where you ended that, because I was just on a coaching call today with someone who said that she really wanted to take her son to the pool, because he was super into going to the pool today.
I want to go to the pool.
I know, we both really want to go to the pool.
It's hot. I'm already sweating.
It's so hot. My car has no air conditioning right now, which is so tragic. But then she said, I mean, I can't. I've just got too much to do. And we talked about all the other things that we were talking on the call. And then I said, I would like to give you a prescription or a permission slip, please, to go to the pool with your beautiful, fabulous sons. Because life is short. And I feel like that is, in terms of my learning, it was part of that Glennon Doyle book, and sort of thinking about my one precious singular life that only I have, and I don't know how much of it there is. And so it has made me just love, even like, okay, daughter Kate drove me insane today. I literally wanted to like, she drove me.
Why, you little?
Oh my goodness. And here's the beautiful thing. I feel like it's not even a learning. It's something I already knew, but there's something about this time that has been magical in helping me to practice it, which is because I can't choose my circumstances right now. I have gotten dramatically better at actually feeling it all the way, being all the way mad, being all the way sad, being all the way whatever the heck it is that I am, confused, frustrated, whatever, stuck. Like, I'm stuck, right? And I've been willing to let myself be that. But the great thing is I've been it for so much less time, because I got really, really, really mad at her. And then I told Jenna about it for about 5 minutes. And then I was completely 100% over it and fine. And so there's this nice thing that's happened where the feelings are strong and real and present. And I'm able to not identify with them. I'm able to let them come and go and to kind of stay my course. And also, I think the big thing for me as a really so talented procrastinator is that my solace has been, okay, just do the next thing. Feel the feeling, let it go through, and then just like look around and say, which luckily I've been doing good work with my planner. So usually when I look at it and I say, okay, what's the next thing? There's something there good that I should do. And when I do it, I just inevitably feel like, oh, okay, I did that thing. Look at me go. And as Jenna said, moving out of fear and reactivity and back into optimism, and not just optimism, but unshakable faith. Because my faith was shook.
Yeah.
Really hard. I mean, I had several moments in this last 12 weeks that Jenna witnessed, all of them, they were hard. And I really was like, what's happening? It was existential dread, right? And there's something really nice about going through UPLIFT with you all that has helped me to refocus and remind myself who I am and what I believe. And I feel like my faith of all kinds in this business, my own version of faith in the universe it's strengthened and it's fluid at the same time. It's just present for me. And I feel like, okay, all right, what you got? And that is the biggest thing that I come away with. I don't know it's exactly a learning, but it is a beautiful thing. And I thank you because I wouldn't have taken the time to think and read and write and all of that without you. So
it is super true. And it's a perfect segue. I mean, and basically you already answered this question,
yay,
but I do think how have you grown, right? Because learning hopefully instills some growth, right? I am thinking about, I mean, to me, what I love the version of faith that you're describing. And it's funny because I started watching some of the new episodes of Queer Eye.
Oh my God, me too. Oh, I love it so much.
I know, of course. I was like,
it's so
I needed
good.
this. Where have you been?
Oh, Kevin.
Oh,
have you watched
Nope,
Kevin?
I've only watched, I'm only on the very, I haven't even watched the whole first episode. So don't tell me, but I will be watching it this weekend.
It's so good.
So, but a quote popped up, a Martin Luther King Jr. quote that was, I'm gonna butcher it because I don't actually remember the quote, but it was basically like, just take the first step. You don't need to see the whole staircase. And I was like, oh, because that's the kind of faith that you're talking about, is just do it. And whether it's motivated by fear, which it happened to be, I think the growth comes from realizing that it doesn't have to keep going in fear, right? That once you have said, I see it, or I don't have to see it all the way, which is about control that we've been talking about, and sort of giving it up and just saying, just take the next step, just do the next thing. And for me, that has shown up in presence, like being more present, which I had already been hoping for and wanting as growth anyway, but this really did. I mean, it forced the hand of presence, and recognizing that I have had a tendency to want to escape. And we kind of talked about that with like vacation being joy, because it was a way and it was the excuse to just shut everything down. But I've had to find ways to shut everything down in this time without taking a vacation, without being in the mountains, with being in the backyard, with taking a second to watch an episode of something that makes me feel good and fills me up, with reading, with hearing from you all. I mean, those things all happened here in my own space. And that, I think, is a huge area of growth for me, and something that I want to hang on to. It also, to me, represents some boundaries that I've had to reestablish, or maybe establish in the first place. Who the hell knows? But I think I recognized that the overwhelm was overwhelming me, right? Like that at the very beginning, I was watching everything, and I was trying to be informed, and I was trying to understand the whole world. And I was feeling so down and scared and helpless. And I recognized early on that I couldn't watch anymore. I could only do what I could do. And it was a different version of boundaries and control than I've had maybe ever. And to me, it feels, I'm always going to deal with it. I'm always going to struggle with it. But I see setting boundaries and listening to myself because I'm being present has been so much more effective in how I've dealt with things recently. Because my old version that I will always go back to, that I'm trying so hard to like love and not be mean to, is shutting down emotionally and just doing the thing, just being the robot. And that's not present. That is like trying to take complete control and trying to force it all the way through and working out of fear. And I would like to grow from this moment and be non-robot Jenna.
I like that.
Yeah.
And to echo Sophie from our conversation the other day, what she said was "let it go" is her big thing, and the Elsa version of that keeps going through my "let it go, let it go," and I feel like that's the other thing. I mean, again, going back in a way to that faith part. As you can nurture that unshakable faith in your ability to deal with things in the universe, in the business, and whatever it might be, I think that can unlock the potential to, when you're feeling whatever you're feeling, and you just do the thing, just going to do the next thing, like Jenna said, just take that step, right? And then to do that thing with all your might, with all your intention, and the best you can do it on that day, whatever you've got for it. And then surrender. And this has been the hardest thing for me my whole life. Back to control. I want to take it all the way through. I will drive you crazy until you tell me to go away. And this has been, it is so important to remember, I think, that once you've done your best, you can loosen the reins and let the next thing happen. And it kind of goes better that way, honestly. Mm-hmm. That's a huge takeaway for me of this last little few weeks.
Yeah, I think that's a huge
deal. As soon as you let go, man, it's just magical. It just all comes together and you're like, oh
man. I feel like control it's like the word that just keeps hanging out in the air. Right?
It's an ugly little fog.
It is the fog of control.
Woo! Blown it away.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Let's see you now.
Okay. Another big question. Okay. 2 questions in one, actually, which is, what do you want to take with you, and what do you want to leave behind from this moment? And I basically wanted to throw out 2 phrases for you to complete. The first is, I want to do more of ... and I want to do less of ... For me, the I want to do more of is, I keep coming back to this word tenderness.
Oh, Jenna.
I know.
That's really sweet. I like your word.
Thanks. Well, it is hard for me. It is hard. And I think it's, as I explained, the robot version. And I'm good at I've got all kinds of empathy, and I've got energy, and I can be optimistic, and I can be uplifty. I do think tenderness is not my strong suit, but I have found it in moments, especially recently, and not just tenderness with other people, but with myself. And I want more of it. I want more of it. I want, especially when I recognize how much I miss hugging people and connecting with people. And to me, I'm craving it too. I'm craving, just some gentleness. And so that's what I want.
I
more
love
of
that. I love that a lot. What I want more of for sure is it's a part of your answer, which is just people.
Yeah.
I really miss the people. I'm so grateful to you all for joining us. I am so happy you are looking back at us in the little Hollywood Squares thing.
We see you. Is it creepy?
And and having the great conversations that we've been having. It means everything. And I'm so aware, like having just gotten together with just a couple of friends doing outdoor, kind of social distancing get-togethers, I'm so aware, and I desperately miss hugging. I do miss that so much. I am a hugger, and look out, everybody. Look out, because as soon as we can hug people again, oh my goodness, I'm going to get arrested. It's going to be scary. But
I don't know, the stranger just walked up and hugged me.
You look so huggable. I feel I need to hug you. But also, I just feel, when we were doing the Glennon book, and one of her things was, how do you shorten that distance between your dreams and your action? I was like, dang, what dreams does she speak of? What are my dreams right now? And I've really been thinking about that a ton. And I've gotten clearer on kind of dreams for the business, but we work on that more. And in my life, what I realized is really my big dream is to, Kate's going to college. I'm going to have the house all to myself. And I want that home to be just like an open door to everybody that I love. And I want people to be in there with me a lot. Because that makes life so much richer and more fun and more unexpected. And it's everybody else's journey gets to collide with yours.
Yeah.
And that is so magical. So I'm excited for when we can all be together again.
Open doors.
IRL.
Big hugs. Yes, I agree. On the less side, on the things I would like to leave behind, there are many, but fear is definitely one of them, and it will be a battle. But I had a moment the other day when we were talking, and I was like, man, if we can, as a business, if we could make it through this, we can make it, right? And so, and I feel that about so many things right now, that I have all the evidence. I don't need any more proof, right? I can take the next step. I don't need to see the staircase. It's good. I'm good. So I want to leave fear behind. I would really like to leave judgment and judging behind. So this is crazy, but the last video that we did around Untamed, we were insanely vulnerable. I feel like
I did wake up the next morning and think better of many of the things, and I wasn't even drinking.
I did too, where I was like, wow. That was a little much. Honestly, this whole process, I think we have been so much more vulnerable. And part of it is that I want it from other people. I am seeking it.
The real.
Yes.
Yeah.
That if you're asking other people, if I'm asking you to answer big questions, to reflect, to think, to grow, to do hard things, then I've got to be willing to do the same thing. And so I want to leave self-judgment behind, because when I woke up and I was like, oh, we should delete that video. I was like, damn it.
I wasn't the only one. We didn't even talk about that, but that's what I thought.
Know. But I thought,
I was like, I could just call Brian and say, cut out.
I know. But no, because it's who we are. And it's also where we are in this moment, right? Every day is different, and every feeling comes out in different ways. And we were talking about untamed, for the love of God. That's what we were being. That's who we were. I am proud of that. And so I want to be more proud of that. And I want to be less judgy and worry about that. And I don't want to worry about other people judging me, and I don't want to judge other people. I feel like in a need to be more connected, there's got to be more room to let people be who they are. And that means I don't want to judge, and I think about Untamed, and so much of that book is about, she changes her mind. Like she wrote a book about a relationship that she was, committed to, recommitting herself to in Love Warrior with her husband, and then fell in love with a woman. And I mean, she changed her mind.
It's a pretty big one.
And I want to be open to all of the reasons that people change their mind, and the reasons that you forgive things that they say and stuff that they do because they are being them. That's what I would like to leave behind judgment.
I like that. And I think having watched the fabulous Michelle Obama in her amazing documentary, which if you haven't watched it yet,
So good.
please do yourself the favor of watching it. I literally, when I walked the dog after, I felt taller. I did. It's just an amazing film. And I was so struck, anybody would be, and I'm sure it's quite by design, but every clip that they show of her, especially during that first election, but through the early presidency and really all the way through, even as they're walking back to Air Force One, leaving the White House, they're all contained versions of her.
Yes.
Right? And sometimes it looks painfully contained. Yeah. Like you can see it on her face where she's unsure of herself. She doesn't know who she needs to be. And then you see her in Becoming, especially with kids. But like the church group that she sat in front of, I mean, you just see her, and all of the interviews, you see her early to late. And by the last one with Colbert, she's just all the way her. She's funny, she's warm, she's strong, she says bold things. And I was raised in a household where you did what you were told, you showed up how you needed to. There was a lot of propriety, dignity. You never wanted to embarrass the family in any way. I did do that, but I kept it on the DL. But I realized I've done that to myself my whole life, and I've told myself that I needed to show up in certain ways. And so, like you, Jenna, I just feel like the biggest thing that I would like to do, I liked her so much more as herself.
Yep.
Right? Both because she's just insanely likable, but also I think we're always attracted to people who are most fully present.
Yep.
And authentic, right? And I think that takes some practice, because we've learned so much about how to like contain it and put it in a package. And I think there's something super beautiful about realizing also that it isn't about perfection, right? You look at her White House wardrobe, and then you look at her crazy, awesome Becoming wardrobe, which is much more her personality, but we never knew that. Right? And I think even that, I was watching her and just thinking, in this, there's so much permission to be your own weird self, right? And be cool with it, and expect that, like little kids do, that everybody's gonna like you. And if they don't, that's cool. It's all right. But it's so much nicer for you and for everybody you're around if you can show up all the way, so that they have something to connect to, right? So the thing that I would like to leave behind is my constant discomfort in these last few years about who I'm supposed to be. I'm not married. I'm not in this job that I was in. Now we're doing this thing. Every time that Jenna and I get into an Uber or a cab, always, they say the nice thing, oh, so what do you guys do? And we're like, we don't know how to explain it, because we want to say it in a short way that doesn't make them feel uncomfortable when they don't know what the hell we're talking about. That's so silly.
Yep.
No more of that. I would like to just show on up And I want that for you so much.
Totally. I was so struck by it when you were talking about her clothes and becoming Michelle Obama's clothes, that her stylist talked about, that her clothing choices for Michelle Obama in the White House were more like costume design, because she was setting her up to look a certain way. It was a costume. And now she gets to like wear who she is. And to me, that it struck me in every part
There's sparkles and fringes.
Yes. Oh, it's so, and I love her stylist is like, I mean, there's an Elvis vibe in this suit and I'm okay with it. But it made me think about all of the costumes that we wear, right? Like not just the clothes, which we have struggled with forever. I mean, that we had like an actual argument when we first started the business about like, what is it? Who are we? How do we show up? And you can see it in like early videos
really
and how torn we are in our clothing choices. And it's because we're still trying to figure out who we're supposed to be. And I feel like we're getting closer and closer and closer to being more of who we are all the time in every context, which is totally what this was all about and what we want for you. Absolutely. And it is super hard. It's super, super hard. But I think
we got to unlearn a lot.
Oh man.
It's not so much what you are learning. It's like what you're unlearning.
It
right?
is. Right. It's just like, break it. Break it. Start it over. Break it. Start it over. Yeah. And again, I think recognizing that it's also okay to be different versions, right? It's okay to figure it out. You don't have to have the answer, and it doesn't have to be the answer forever for the rest of your life, right? You get to change your mind. You get to grow, and this is about a journey. And so you're always becoming. So being tender with yourself in the ways that you're showing up and the ways that don't always feel like you, it's okay. Like, you don't have to be. You don't have, because it isn't about perfection. It's about where you are in that moment. And so another big question, which we've asked multiple times in all kinds of different contexts, but really, who will you be going forward? Who do you want to be going forward? Which is heavy. I cannot stop saying the word courage in my head and in so many things that we've been doing and talking about. And for me, courage has changed over time and it keeps kind of morphing. And right now I see courage as vulnerability and just showing up who I am that day and trying to forgive and forget the voice that wakes up in the morning that's like, ooh, you overshared. Or, ooh, maybe you should have made this choice. Or, oh, that probably wasn't the best thing. Or, oh, do you think she's mad at me? Or, oh, should I have that voice? That voice is not courage. That voice is judgment and fear. So I'm choosing courage and working toward courage in being vulnerable. And I mean, you are helping me. So thank you.
Yay, Jenna.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Thanks.
Mine, who I am going to be, this is, so that future self exercise, if anybody did that, if you did that, I hope you met the awesome badass woman that you are becoming, right? And for me, at a little older than many, I am close to her now, right? I mean, she was way older than me, obviously, in when I sat down with her. And she was is so beautiful and so smart, not just smart, wise and calm, which is something I've always sought. It's just a continual seeking that I'm doing. Centered, grounded, imaginative though, right? And kind of dreamy and sentimental, which I'm not, but I am, because this is the coolest thing. I feel like I already know who that is. And the coolest thing is, that's my own brain. My brain knows me. my brain knows what I turn into, right? And if Einstein is right, which he's correct about relativity, right? Then time and space are all here in one weird, like, chunk that we don't totally understand. And so instead of time is passing, right, we're actually moving through the time and space, right? Which I always found to be the best thing about physics, like that weirdness. Because what that means is all of the yous that you ever have been or will be are already there. They're already in there, right? And so being able to access her and have her be so really wonderful makes me feel like I'm on the right track and like I actually have what I need. I have what I need to be her. And you do too. And so I feel like for me, the becoming and who I'm going to be, it's all in there now. And the whole job is embrace, because that's what she does, right? When I meet my future self, what she always says is, it's okay. You've got this. You're good. You're doing great. Look at you, right? Yeah. And so being able to bring that spirit to ourselves is just gorgeous. And recognizing I'm already her. I'm already her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just got to keep going.
I love that, because I think it's something that we haven't probably said as much, but that we were talking about earlier, which is that you already know the answer.
Yeah.
Like you already,
it's all in you.
Yes. Which is, I mean, that is a hard one for me, because it's the woo-woo part of that is tough for me. But when I really think about it, and I'm reading Alicia Keys' book right now, which is really good. And she talks about this conversation with Oprah, where she's trying to figure out who should be your manager. And she said that no one has ever really understood all the pieces of her, right? And they don't know what to do with her. And so it never matches. And Oprah, because she's freaking Oprah.
Because it's Oprah.
It's basically like, you already know what to do. Like, you know the answers. You know best. You go with your gut, listen to your instincts. You know the next step to take. And of course she has to sit with that for a long time, because it doesn't always just pop up. But knowing that when you do take a minute to really dig deep, look inside, think about it fully, and trust yourself, you do have the answers. It's huge.
It is huge.
Yeah.
And it goes back to kind of, faith and trust and that knowing, that intuition, which Glennon talked about too.
Yeah.
It is a little woo-woo, but it's also demonstrable, right? It's you do know that when you listen to yourself really, when you really check in, usually better stuff comes from that. So
true.
Yeah.
And so another question on this that is a tough one, I think, but when you think about who you want to be, right? So the way that you want to be, who you will be, is there a touchstone, a watchword, a tagline, a visual image? Is there something that will bring you back when you feel out of sorts? And man, I mean, I can answer for you maybe more than I can answer for myself. Like when you were describing your future self, I feel like that is it, right? Like picturing her, that future you, it made me calm. It made me feel like I was right there with you. I was like, oh, I'm going to totally give future Nancy a hug.
Future Nancy will take it.
Exactly. But I love that for you, but you can answer on your own. I think for me, I mean, because courage keeps coming up, more and more, and courage around showing up all the way and asking for help, which I think is really huge. I just keep thinking of the biggest version of me that I can think of, which is weird because I don't totally know what that looks like, but I can feel it. Like if I think and breathe in and sort of puff myself up, I could flip my head over and shake my hair really big.
Her hair gets real big.
But there have been these moments throughout this just where I can feel the biggest version of me. And
Me too, Jenna.
yeah, thanks. Good. I'm glad.
Yep.
And even the biggest version, not necessarily in like the, big, happy, boisterous me, but also in the times where I've been vulnerable or I've said sorry faster than I would have before. Or I've said, I'm feeling this, those times I'm trying to hang on because good stuff happens right after those moments, right? And I feel good right after those. So I'm trying to hang on to the bigness and the feelings of courage.
I like it so much.
Yeah.
And courage is beautiful. And mine are, I struggle to choose between presence and faith.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not kind of the traditional, Judeo-Christian faith, but just faith.
Yeah.
in myself, in humanity, in, the universe, in my children, in my friends, faith. And I choose that word, I think, because
I like it.
present is so, so important to me because that's when I can feel it, when I can come back to where I am right here, right now. Then I don't get distracted by the past and the future, right? When I can be right here is always, even when it's hard, it's good, it's okay, I've got this, right? And so that's when I can access it. But I think that the main thing that I would like my next many moments to be animated by is faith, because it makes me kinder, it makes me calmer, it makes me much more creative.
Yeah.
And honestly, weirdly, it makes me dramatically more productive. I mean, so all good, as you said about courage, just all good things flow from it. And it has never come easy to me. But that is the biggest gift of this crazy last many, many weeks, is that it's growing stronger and I'm getting access to it and I'm hanging on. And what I'm learning is to, instead of hanging on, to just feel it kind of there and let go. Thanks, Sophie. Because that especially feels fairly wonderful. Yeah. So there we go.
Can I read you one more quote from Michelle Obama?
You may.
Okay. For every door that's been opened to me, I've tried to open my door to others. Let's invite one another in. So my question for you is, how will you lift someone else up? And we, of course, have been thinking about this because you have inspired us so much. And we're not going to stop doing this. So we've loved doing this month of Uplift. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep recording podcasts that are around these big questions and big thoughts and around exploration and refresh and restart and repurpose and the journey, right? And we want you to come with us. So if you know anyone who needs this, send them a note. Let them know that the podcast exists. But outside of us, how can you lift somebody else up? Because I think this is a moment where we're all so wishing for connection and recognizing how interconnected we actually are. What can you do?
Yep. And for myself on that, I've been really trying to process all of what's been happening with George Floyd's death and the protests and the, I think, incredibly admirable determination of more people who look like us to at least try to understand and to reach out and to make real change, right? And so for myself, I feel like one little step, what I'm determined to do is to find young women who need a mentor, who maybe want to work on social change, who want to work in the nonprofit world or in politics, all things that I know a fair bit about, and see if I can't develop some durable relationships that are not just about friendliness, but are about genuine uplift and connecting women to resources to make special, amazing things happen. I realize that I've been complacent in thinking that because I think well, I do okay. And that's just ridiculous and wrong. And so what I'm determined to do is to find active ways to serve and to lift and to just keep going and try new and better all the time.
I love that. I've been thinking about that on the entrepreneurship side big time, because especially in this moment where startups are the scariest things that I can think of right now. And so I was thinking about how, women run businesses, minority run businesses. These things are so fragile right now. And so I've been thinking a lot about how can I find a place to connect and help other people. I'm still in the baby version too, but I'm feeling pretty damn good. And I want to help more. And so I love that. Thank you so much for being here.
You're so amazing. You've totally inspired us, and you've given us a framework to think and to grow and to learn and reflect. We're so grateful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If there are big questions on your mind, if there are topics that you want to talk about, if there's inspiration that you're finding, will you please share it with us? You can just email us. It is jenna@generaschange.com or nancy@generaschange.com or team@generaschange.com or kelsey@generaschange.com. You can reach out and we will listen and respond, and we need it. We love hearing from you. So thank you so much for being with us. And thanks for being a part of Uplift. And we'll see you soon. We'll see you
real soon.
There might be a hug or something. I'm just warning you, whenever that's okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See ya.